Hello guys, this is a Retro Gamer 06, and today I'm reviewing uh first Final Fantasy game, so I'm excited to do this video. Today I'm going to review Final Fantasy IV. Now of course, the only version I got is the complete collection for the PSP only, and here it is. Love the artwork. And this guy did the artwork on pretty much every Final Fantasy game. Uh, I'm not sure about the newer ones. And I can't remember the artist's name. I have to look him up. But he also did the artwork for, if I'm not mistaken, Vampire Hunter D covers on the books. So this is it. PSP only. Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection. Rated E for everyone, of course. Square Enix. There's the spine and the back. And as you can see, it's a collection. It's got Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. And the back of it says, one of the greatest games of all time complete. Uh, an all new Final Fantasy IV interlude game that binds the two epic narratives together. And that reminds me, it's three games. Final Fantasy IV interlude. It's very short, but it does take place in between. It binds it together. It binds Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. So if you want to experience the interlude, you have to get this. This is the only way you can play unless you got like an emulator. But don't ask me how to do it because I never tried it. It's illegal, but people do it anyway. So there might be a way to emulate that. I don't know. So some lighting here, and then also on the back of it, high definition graphical updates for both Final Fantasy IV and the After Years. Enjoy the complete Final Fantasy IV experience for the first time in North America. So, yeah, really beautiful. And here's the inside of it. Put this aside. Here's the booklet, the back. And there's this. Now, a little history on how I got into Final Fantasy IV was, you know, I used to collect. I had almost every. I believe I had every Final Fantasy game on the PS1. Uh, but sadly, I don't because I sold it. But looking back, I should have kept it. Uh, but yeah, the first time I played Final Fantasy IV, I believe was I had Final Fantasy Chronicles, which had Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger, and I fell in love with it. Such a great game, great story. Um, I don't know, like out of the classic Final Fantasies, 1 through 6, I just say this was my favorite. Yeah, so your character is Cecil, the main character, Rosa, she's a white mage. You got Kane, he's a dragoon. Sid, he's an engineer. And in the sequel, some of these characters have kids now. Like the main character, well, there's actually more than one main character in the after years, but Theodore, that's Cecil and Rose's child. Yeah, they got a little bit of spoiler, but the main character gets married at the end of the game. But and then like I said, Interlude continues it. I can't remember how many years go by in the after years, like 10 or 15 years. Uh, you're like your overworld map and all that good stuff. And this originally came out of 1991, a long time ago. And but the thing is, back in the early 90s, uh, like the original Final Fantasy 2 and 3 was never released outside of Japan. Like it never came to the West. And so if you guys ever played Final Fantasy 2 on the Super Nintendo, believe it or not, you were actually playing Final Fantasy 4. That's not the real Final Fantasy 2. That came later, which was under Final Fantasy Origin Collection for the PS1. It had Final Fantasy 1 and 2, but you can now play them on the PSP as well. Uh, so although that's a neat little history. And same thing with uh, Final Fantasy 3 on Super Nintendo. You were actually playing Final Fantasy 6. And you got like equipment and all that good stuff, character bios. And I think they first had it on the PS1, Final Fantasy Chronicle. They had the CGI intro. I put it down in the link in the description box. It's really cool. You gotta watch it. And I also put a link down for Final Fantasy for the After Years intro. So check it out. It's really cool. Great music too. How to battle, like how to fight. Uh, your basic commands and all that good stuff. Oh, and that's very interesting about Final Fantasy for the After Years. Depending on the moon phase, like for example, if it's a full moon, your physical attacks become less effective, while black magic becomes more effective. Waning moon, physical attacks become more effective, while some abilities become less effective, excluding white and black magic. New moon, white magic becomes less effective, while some abilities become more effective, excluding white and black magic. Waxy moon, white magic becomes more effective, while black magic becomes less effective. So when playing Final Fantasy for the after years, you gotta pay attention to the moon setting, which is very interesting, I think. And how to like item, how to defend and all that. But yeah, this really takes me back. Like I said, I first played it back on the PS1 era. I don't know if I just got a PS2 or not. I think I did. Now, of course, later on, I bought Final Fantasy 4 on the Game Boy Advance, and it's on a lot of platform. Final Fantasy 4. It's not a hard game to find. You can play on like I said, Super Nintendo, which is Final Fantasy 2. PS1, you can play on Game Boy Advance, PC, DS, PSP. Uh, Now they did remade it with 3D graphics for the DS, which that's the same version you'll find on Steam. So, and I never played that version. I heard it was a lot harder. Uh, Final Fantasy 4 is not a hard game per se. I mean, it's easy if you level grind, you know, and not just skip ahead. Like if you play the game right, the game it's not that hard. But I heard the remake was a lot harder. So, uh, if you guys want this game or if you want this version, just because you can play the third game of Interlude, which again, like I said, uh, you know, it's PSP only. I put the link down. It's on Amazon. It's like 30 something dollars. So I went on eBay and it was like 50 bucks. But Amazon, they got for like 30 something dollars. So if you want this, get it. If you have a PSP and you never played Final Fantasy 4, I recommend this one right here. Just because it's got that third game interlude. And then right here you got your summon. Chocobo, Dragon, Shifa, Ramu, or Rama, Ifrit, Titan, Asura, Leviathan, Sylph, Odin, and Bahamut. It should like require MP and all that. A little blurry. But yeah, a lot of fond memories playing this game. And, you know, if you guys play newer Final Fantasy game, uh, you know how like, for example, Final Fantasy 7 and 8, how anyone can use magic. Well, in older games, only certain characters like White Mage or Black Mage, Red Mage, each character had their own set of abilities. And I think that's what makes these classic Final Fantasy games so unique, because a lot of people are, they're not playing because all, it's 2D graphic, it's old. Don't let it bother you, I mean, play it, 'cause that's where it all started, you know? I mean, Final Fantasy 7 was my first Final Fantasy game, but I still enjoy the classic ones as well. Final Fantasy 7 is what got me into the series, and I just love the series because each game has its own unique thing, unique gameplay. Like 7, you deal with materials, Final Fantasy 8, has junction and so forth. And you know, so like I said, Rosa, which is one of the characters, she's a white mage. So like Kira, and all that, like defense spells. Uh Radia, or I can never pronounce her name. Radia or Rydia, she's a summoner. And of course, she's the only one that can use summons. Although, I don't know, it seemed like other characters used to like maybe a black mage. Anyway, you got Yang Fang, he's a monk. Uh, Paladin Parum, they're a black mage and white mage. Edward is a bard. You know, Ed Edge, he's a ninja. So you got all these characters classes. Uh, the kind of gist of the story is, it takes place on Earth, or also known as Blue Planet, which consists of a surface world or overworld inhabited by humans, and an underground world or underworld inhabited by the dwarves. An artificial moon orbits the planet upon which the Lunarians live. Lunar- I can't pronounce this. The Lunarians are a race of beings originally from the world which was destroyed, becoming the asteroid belt surrounding the blue planet, and are identified by a moon-shaped crest on their foreheads. They created the artificial moon, uh, resting until a time when they believe their kind can coexist with humans. A second natural moon over the blue planet as well, although it is never visited in the game. So that's kind of the gist of it, you know. And of course, and like any other classic Final Fantasy, except Final Fantasy 9, I believe. Uh, you know, these older Final Fantasy stories about crystals. You know, the main villain is his name's Golbez, and he's out of these crystals. Because from my understanding, you know, there's I'm trying to think. I want to say there's 12 crystals or 8 crystals in all. Because there's like 4 or 6 in the overworld, which is Earth, and there's 6 more, which is called Dark Crystal in the underworld. And Golbez is trying to, you know, steal all these crystals because by stealing these crystals, he goes to the moon. There's like some sort of power on the moon, and that's what his goal is. And of course, you, the main character, and the other character, are trying to stop him. And and that's the gist of it. So, review of Final Fantasy 4. Again, great. Even though it's 2D graphic, you'd be surprised. You will grow attached to these characters. If you haven't played it, play it. Uh, like I said, you can play it on almost any platform. Steam, you know, PSP, PS1, DS, you know, Game Boy Advance. So check it out if you haven't already. It's a good game. It's one of my favorites. Uh, I mean, you know, 7 be my number one favorite, of course, because it was my first Final Fantasy game. This will be maybe, I don't know, it's hard to tell, either my third or fourth favorite. My second favorite being Final Fantasy 9, but I'll get more into that. I will do a review on that as well. So this is probably my third or fourth favorite, but it's good though. I mean, a lot of people may think, no, this is my number one favorite. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's your number one favorite, or maybe it's your second favorite. This is a good game. Again, if anyone were to ask me what is my favorite classic Final Fantasy, it's this one. Great game. Love it. So again, check out the intro videos. Link down in the description box. I put the Amazon link. So if you want to get you a copy, I put the link down in the description. It's like 30 something dollars, I think. So get it while it's cheap. I think I paid 20 something dollars. So yeah. So get it. It's a great game. Again, it's you know, it's PSP, so if you have a PSP, get it. It's a good game. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this video. I'll do more. I'll do another one either tomorrow or sometime later this week. I gotta see my schedule. But anyway, this is the Richard Gamer 06. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.